Welcome back. You're still listening to News and Views on myself, Salalo Makwidiri. The time is 2 minutes past 9 a.m. Central African time. And if you're a resident of Johannesburg, this is a very, very important story to keep your eye and ear on. Johannesburg, a city that we all loved, once known for its gold, is now running dry. From southern townships to the northern suburbs, residents are facing persistent water cuts. It's been low pressure, infrastructure collapses generally. And in a recent investigation by News 24 journalist, there were very, very disturbing facts that have been laid bare. Billions and billions of rands allocated to Joburg water and infrastructure upgrades seem to have vanished without any kind of meaningful results. The city's mayor and officials have been hauled over the calls, but accountability remains elusive. That's the word I can use. But it's not just a Johannesburg story. It is a national crisis at this point. One I think, from every part of South Africa, people can attest to. We know what happened in Hammanskraal a few years ago and what continues to be the issue there with water. Gqeberha also had its own challenges. And South Africans are increasingly living through what many call a day zero in slow motion, one that is not influenced by anything except mismanagement of funds, infrastructure that's not being taken care of, and ultimately you and I, the residents of Johannesburg specifically, are suffering. So, what's the question? What's really driving this crisis? Is it money? Is it management, corruption, or just all of the above? And to help us unpack this, is Dr. Ferrial Adam, environmental justice activist and executive manager of WaterCAN, who's been tracking water governance failures here in Johannesburg quite extensively. Dr. Adam, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you giving us the time this morning.
Good morning, Silalo, and to all your listeners. Thank you for having me on your show.
Mm. When you hear of such stories, the fact that billions of rands allocated to Johannesburg water, to fix reservoirs or to upgrade reservoirs like the one in Brixton, which I think has been a sore point for many residents of the city, because I think it's been failing. To be honest, how do you react? How do you interpret such a discovery that money's there to fix the infrastructure that's been collapsing for years, but it's just been stolen?
Yeah, so the word I wouldn't say is stolen. I think it's moved and reallocated. So that's what the mayor says, that it has not been stolen and those kind of things are wrong, but it's been moved and reallocated because of the kind of old agreements that exist in the city of Joburg. And to some extent, that is true. But on a bigger scale, actually, well, then show us how that money has been used. That is what we've been asking for. We understand it hasn't been stolen. We understand it had to be used for other things, but then show that. So what I've been seeing, and it's actually quite concerning, is that on the one hand, they said they're showing evidence that this money was actually put back into Joburg water. But then at the same time, they talk about the fact that no, that we need to understand that money from entities are used to kind of prop up other entities. So has it been used or is it put back? That's the first thing. The second thing is that it hasn't really been put back in terms of an actual deposit. It's been put back as a kind of like a credit note. So that's not money in the bank. And you're right, by the way, this has affected how Joburg Water has worked. They have had cases of 666 million rand that they've been unable to pay contractors. Sorry.
No,
Which is
very, very
affecting,
concerning. Yeah.
which is affecting our water supply, right?
I want to talk about the reservoir in question here, the Brixton Reservoir. What do we know about it, and how important is it, for the surrounding suburbs, and how has it been working over the years?
Okay, so the new Brixton Reservoir is it's a massive reservoir. I think they're moving it from it's no longer 20 million megaliters. It's double that, I think. And the point of this reservoir is that the idea was that it would have, if you have this reservoir that's full, it would have the force to push water into the other systems, like the commando system, like the Hurst Hill, well, it's all the commando system, like the Hurst Hill reservoirs, Hurst Hill 1 and 2, which you'll know, Hurst Hill 2 feeds Emerentia, Greenside, Melville, those areas. And Hurst Hill 1 feeds Coronationville, Westbury, Sophiatown, Claremont. And the protest we had last month are all linked to the fact that Hurst Hill 1 residents are not getting water. And in fact, the Hurst Hill 1 reservoir has been closed for about 2 years now. So the water is bypassed to them. But the water, because it's bypassed, the pumping, it kind of works on gravity. So it allows the water to flow to people, and it needs force to get to all the people. So then also people at the end of that line or people in higher altitudes do not get water. So the Brixton Reservoir, the new one, is aimed to make sure that the water can then go with a force and get water to all the people. That's the theory. The Brixton Reservoir needed to be done by April this year. It needed to be completed. It was not completed. It's still ongoing. They say it's 95% done, but they've had periods of not paying the contractor and the contractor downing tools. So there've been a few of that has happened. So what happens is when this is a direct impact of the sweeping function that the city has with taking money away from Joburg Water's account, is that Joburg Water can't pay contractors, so they down tools. So this is the impact. And then what happens is that such important projects get delayed. They said now it will be up and running by the end of October. And when things like that get delayed, I think affects us in terms of water access, because if Brixton was up and running, we probably wouldn't have had all the challenges we had in August and September.
I
So
think that's
it
very, very
directly
important
impacts
to
us,
note.
yes.
In your view, what would it take, I think, at this current moment, to fix the water crisis in Johannesburg? And just reflecting on the deeper structural and even governance failures that have ultimately led us to the point where we currently find ourselves.
So there's a number of things that's needed, right? I think they have to run in parallel. We need the money to be ring-fenced for water and sanitation. Let's be honest. The water and sanitation is hitting as hard as it hit us during load shedding. The difference with that is companies could put up solar, they could put up, alternative generators. You saw that all of that, restaurants had generators. All the small businesses could do those things. There isn't an alternative to water. Those JoJo tanks are not going to get people going. And also you need the water to fill those JoJo tanks. So we need to ring fence the funding. That is very important. We need that kind of sweeping arrangement to stop. Now, the city would say no, but we have other issues that we need to deal with as well. Let's be honest, without the water infrastructure in place, everything else is going to collapse. We already saw businesses are losing jobs. We already saw businesses are losing money. So if we want to grow the city, let's just focus on fixing that. And then we can start looking at other streams to help other aspects, right? We're not saying give all the money to Joburg Water, but ring fence a certain amount. Ring fence the amount that you've budgeted for instead of keep moving it around. So that's the thing. The other thing is that we must not forget the power of the citizen. And this is where we talk about ordinary people. Ordinary people keep saying to me, yeah, but what can we do? And a protest doesn't really achieve anything. Actually, it has achieved a lot in the last year. It is the voices of the people that have forced the issues around water tankers to be transparent. It has tracked how they've operated. It has tracked leaks. We on the ground have also been able to force government to be more open and transparent. The fact that the mayor has to have different meetings in different communities is because of these protests. And he has set up, committees to deal with those localized issues. So I think protests work. And that is why, Selilo, I hope I'm going to see you on the 1st of November. We are having a protest outside the city council chambers. We are saying that let's take a united Johannesburg voice from the north to the south, east, west, everybody come together and show that all of us as Joburgers, our voice is loud. And that's what I'm hoping we're going to do, because that we have a list of demands, and I can share that with you later, where it's not pie in the sky. And I do think we can achieve it. And I think that this protest is a big way. If we don't get the numbers, government's going to ignore us and we're going to be in big trouble. We need the numbers on that day, and we need to force change through that, because we're opening, our demands are opening for negotiation. And we can, as civil society, let's be honest, we've been playing a very big role in keeping our water systems running.
Most definitely. Doc, and I think this is a very, very important question. Across the African continent and even maybe globally, are there models of cities that have confronted similar challenges, the challenges that COJ is currently facing at this current moment, and have managed to turn it around? And what are those lessons that the city of Johannesburg can borrow from some of those success stories?
Okay, so I'll give you a few success stories. One, well, some is not so success, but we must learn from those as well.
Yeah.
The one is, if we look at, everyone says, let's privatize, let's privatize, let's privatize, right? Because the private sector is going to do it perfectly. No, I'm sorry to disappoint you. That is not going to happen. We live in a very unequal society that if you do privatize, you're only going to feed the wealthy. And let's be honest, a big part of our population is small businesses, and it is low economy homes, right? That needs to be seen to. And privatization will not be able to help in that regard. London, let's take the UK. They privatized their municipal water systems. And what do they have now? They're sitting in the same situation we are sitting in right now. You can't drink the water from the taps. Well, actually, in Joburg, we can. So we are one up on them. But their rivers and streams and their canals are completely polluted. Who do they hold accountable? Right? The company has made all these billions. The fine is a minute amount, and government is left with the mess. So privatization, firstly, is not the answer. And we're seeing that around the world, where countries and cities are municipalizing. So what they're doing is they did privatize, and they're realizing it's not working. So they're moving back to municipal systems. And that's what we need. We have a good municipal system. Let's work with it. Let's build it. The second one is what I talk about, where active citizens or people have a bigger voice in our water systems, and it's called democratization of our water. And in the Netherlands, when they go to elections for their local government elections, they actually vote for water boards. So they vote their water board people in. So those people are directly then responsible to the people who vote them in. They don't sit in the same council. They're not, party related, but they are candidates who stand. And that means you have people who can then fight for your water issues at a government level. And in a sense, we've been doing that without those elections. So we need to move away from the thinking of we had in 1994 or post 1994. Great, we've achieved democracy. We handed over power to all the people in positions of government. We need to move away from that. We need to be active in in steering that ship. So I think we can't leave it just to a few. People need to realize that it's hard work, but we have to be active citizens in our own cities and take control. So yes, we must vote. We must look at who's doing the work that is being done. We must stop voting for people who are not doing the jobs. And we must be able to still steer that ship. We must be loud when we see corruption. We must be loud when we see that there's a leaking pipe. We've reported it. They have not fixed it in 24 hours. That is going to make the difference we want to see. I mean, that for me, I think makes me excited, because I think Joburgers can do it really well. And the rest of the country can then follow suit.
No, most definitely, Doc. Thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure having you on Salam Media, and we hope we chat to you again soon.
And see you at the protest.
No, definitely. We'll try to be there. Really appreciate it.
We'll send you the poster, so please share it with your viewers and your listeners.
Most definitely. I think active citizenry, that's what's needed right now. Otherwise, we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, News and Views continues.